This book said men's rights. I am going to sleep real good tonight. I'm not a fan. Let me carry it for you, baby. I will do so. Hello you guys, welcome to a new reading vlog. So this vlog is dedicated to Brody from @Brody. They reached out to me a couple months ago and asked if I would be interested in doing a collab with them where we read each other's favorite books. I was like, yeah, of course, I would love to do collab with you. Why wouldn't I? You are a fellow icon and worshiper of Aphrodite. So yes, what better person to swap lives with for a week or however long this project is going to last. So we have both curated about a 10 book list for the other person to choose from. So I don't know what they chose for me and they don't know what I chose for them. So let's just get into the 3 books that I will be reading during this project. The first one is going to be Queen of the Conquered by Case and Calendar. This is a book that I believe is set in a Caribbean setting following our female character who I know is very morally gray. I know that this is incredibly politically driven and all of the characters in here are both good and bad. There's a lot of, like I said, very morally gray happenings right here. And I know it's a lot about colonization and race politics. I do believe that there is also fantasy elements into this. I believe that our main character is quite powerful and a member of the upper class. I have pretty high hopes for this. I'm quite excited. The next one I have is Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Rowanhorse. I have contemplated picking this up for so long because this is often compared to Percy Jackson, and of course Percy Jackson is a huge part of my life. Obviously that is a really high comparison to make and something that appeals to me greatly, but if I'm not mistaken, this takes place in a dystopian, alternative America, kind of apocalyptic setting, and I really don't like apocalyptic settings. They just don't work for me. I don't like it in TV, I don't like it in movies, and I don't really like it in books. So that's really what has made me a bit iffy picking this up. It's good to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. I have wanted to pick up a Rebecca Rowanhorse book for so long. It was either going to be Trail of Lightning or their middle grade, which is Race to the Sun. I figured I would pick this one up instead of the middle grade because I feel like a lot of people have read this and enjoyed it, and I just want to know what my stance is on this. And now, of course, the last book. If you follow Brody on any of their social medias, you know that they are the #1 Wilder Girls stan. So this is kind of another example of Trail of Lightning. I was never interested in really reading this because it is a dystopian-esque Lord of the Flies-esque retelling where it's about this group of girls who are taken to this island, I believe, and this island is infected with some sort of chemicals or some sort of illness that is affecting all of the girls in various different ways. I think one of our main characters is something's growing in their eyeballs, and I don't like that. I am not a huge fan of body horror, even though I've never read about it. I just can't imagine that I would be a huge fan of it. I'm a wimp. I don't like horror. I don't like gross things. So that's another reason why I haven't really picked this up. And I heard just such mixed reviews. You either love this book or you hate it. And I am very curious to see how I feel about it because my best friend Carly from Carly's Books hates this book, but Brody loves this book, so I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this. Bottom line, this is kind of the one that is most up in the air because even with Trail of Lightning, I at least have that mythology aspect to it, which I know Native American, some sort of Native American folklore is involved in that, and gods and things. This, I don't know. So with that said, let's rank all of the books that I think I'm gonna like from least to most, which I think is honestly in the order that I showed them. So I think I'm gonna like Wilder Girls the least, just because I really don't know, and it's safe to be pessimistic than optimistic. Then I'm probably gonna like Trail of Lightning secondly, but honestly, I do have the most faith in this one to surprise me. And then again, just kind of to be safe, I feel like I'll like Queen of Concord the most because this is more aligned with what I do enjoy. I love fantasy, I love things of colonialism, I love morally gray characters, I love political intrigue. So these are my predictions. We'll be curious to see if I'm right or not. As for the rest of the content for this vlog, Brody and I thought it would be fun to kind of do things that we normally do, if that makes sense. So for instance, I have my incense burning. I usually always have incense burning, but it's something that we agree on, and they said that they pretty much always have it burning as well, so gonna keep that up. Another thing is they mentioned that they try to read their cards every night, and I got so excited when they said that they do this because I have been wanting to use my cards a lot more. I love tarot reading. I am very much like a newbie at it, and I'm not like an expert in any way, but I absolutely love my deck so much, and I really want to use it more. So hopefully I can do that, and maybe I'll film a couple. We also asked each other what our favorite kind of reading snacks were. I told them that mine is like any kind of hot chip because it's true, and they mentioned that they love the spicy garlic cashews from Trader Joe's. So my mom is out getting me some sort of form of garlic cashews, but I know I have a assortment of nut mix in my pantry somewhere, so I'll definitely be eating those as well. Overall, I'm really excited to do this. I think it's gonna be fun to do this cute little reading project collab with one of my favorite creators. Of course, all of their links are gonna be in the description bar below. It's time to get reading. Hello you guys. So I am about 120 pages into Wilder Girls. I am not a fan, but it isn't anything to do with the book. Well, I mean, it has everything to do with the book, but like it doesn't have anything to do with anything particular wrong with the story. It's just because I don't like dystopian books. I think they're just so boring. I don't want to say it's always the same thing because it's not always the same thing, but it's like, oh, the world is ending. Oh, there's a plague. Oh, we're rationing. Oh, there's ammunition low. Oh, there's secrets. Oh, people aren't telling the truth. Oh, there's deception. It's like the same beats, and it's not a setting that I particularly care for. I will say that this is also pretty goddamn gross. I mean, it only was really gross in the beginning. It's been pretty normal for the past 100 pages, maybe even a little less than, but Roy Power went there. Can't say I don't not like it, but I can also say that I don't really like it because I don't like horror either. So this is obviously just not my kind of book. As I've established, I would never have picked this book up if not for Brody. That being said, I mean, nothing is particularly wrong about it in and of itself. The writing is an interesting writing style, but like I'm not mad about it. I don't mind it. I am liking the sapphic vibes that I'm getting from our two of the girls. I mean, yeah, it's okay. Like, it's okay. I also forgot to mention that I recently got a brand new tarot deck, so I am going to be using this when I do my nightly readings, which I'm gonna do it right now. Brody says that they just do a 1-card reading at the end of the day to reflect on the day, so that is what I'm gonna do. Let's see what I pull. Hopefully they're not assholes today. So I just finished Wilder Girls. I'm not mad at the ending, and to be honest, I'm a little surprised at why people were like so outraged about the ending. Like, people were making it out to seem that the book ended like mid-sentence, but I think it ended fine. I mean, it's definitely one of those open-ended endings, but I still think it had a fairly okay conclusion. I mean, does that mean I like it? No. I don't care for it, but I'm also not like outraged about it. I understand why she chose to end it that way. Again, I'm not a fan, but I'm not a fan of this entire book, to be honest. It's just not my thing. I really don't have any thoughts about it because I'm just so lukewarm about it. I just don't really care, and I never really cared. I will say that I thought the romance was going to be between two other girls instead of the girls that it ended up being, but like, you know, okay, fine, whatever. I don't have any opinions on this. I feel really bad because I feel like a lot of people, I mean, of course, Brody included, because this is their like favorite book, are expecting me to have like a lot of thoughts or like want me to have a lot of thoughts and opinions. I just don't have really anything to say about this because it's not my cup of tea. I mean, I think it's a pretty good YA horror dystopian book. I think it was okay. I really don't have anything to say about this. Maybe I'll like watch a couple reviews or something so I can give you guys a little bit more, because I feel kind of bad just saying pretty much nothing about this book. So maybe I'll check in later once I have a bit more to say about it. But overall, I mean, I guess I'll give it a 3-star just because I have nothing to say. So I'm reading Trail of Lightning, and I'm just literally on page 2, and it says, "But I'm no hero. I'm more of a last resort, a scorched earth policy. I'm the person you hire when the heroes have already come home in body bags." Go off, queen! Not the exalted Mormon kingdom. Hey guys, so I am about 100 pages, a little over 100 pages into Trail of Lightning, and this is some good ass food right here. So we are following our main character Maggie, and she is pegged as this monster slayer, and the way that the mythology works in this world is you can get powers depending on the different clans that you're a part of. This is based on Navajo folklore and mythology, and one of her clans gives her super speed, and then the other one gives her this bloodlust and just basically makes her super good at killing. And it is so much fun. We are following her as she is going on an adventure with her family friend's son, and they have to go and try to defeat this witch who is kind of creating these new monsters that are super dangerous, and it is just so fun. I love the writing style in this book. It is done so well. Maggie is such a like grumpy archetype character, and I love her so much. She's one of those like damaged souls, like she's got a bunch of baggage, she's a badass, she's got issues, and like I love me a female character who's got a ton of baggage. Like, let me carry it for you, baby. I will do so. We also recently met a very prominent prominent character in Native American folklore, and I really hope we visit him again. I totally get the comparisons to Percy Jackson. Obviously, it's not even close to what Percy Jackson is, but at the very start of the book, Maggie does have to fight and kill this monster, and it gave me very like Percy killing the Minotaur vibes. It's just, the vibes were immaculate, and I'm here for them. I also mentioned multiple times in this vlog that I'm not crazy about dystopian apocalyptic stories, but the reason that I'm not crazy about those stories is just because I don't like the rationing thing. I don't like the idea of taking these mundane things that we take for granted, like water and food and electricity and all of those things, and having to problem solve our way to getting those things. It's not appealing to me. I do not care. I think it's very boring. So that's kind of a majority of why I don't like those types of stories, and we haven't really had to deal with any of that in this. Like, there's a couple instances where they mention that water is a scarcity, and she powers her truck with freaking moonshine, which I think is so cool. And there's a couple instances where they're like, ooh, coffee is like a very like rich commodity and things like that. But it's not a plot of the book. It's not a super huge component of the story, so I don't mind it at all. It's also kind of interesting because the global disaster that undertook the world, that put it in this kind of new stage of life, was a huge flood that they call the Big Water. And from what I gathered, I'm sure it's just the sea rising and like flooding entire continents, and so that's the current state of the world at the moment, and I'm just really enjoying this. I also love how much Rebecca Roanhorse makes fun of white people. Like, it's freaking fantastic. I'm really freaking enjoying this, and it's really just making me want to read more Native American based fantasies, because the potential, oh my, I'm living for it. I'm loving this. I also forgot to mention that I do have my little Brody snack here. I didn't get to go to the store, and I don't plan on going to the store just to get cashews. So instead, I have this gourmet honey roasted nut mix, and it does include cashews. And cashews are really the only nuts that I really like, and pistachios, so I won't be eating no almonds or pecans, but I do have some nuts, and I have my book, and it's a good time. Pardon the fan, but I only have about 50 chapters left of this book, and I know I said at the beginning that it was about Maggie and Kai and how they're gonna try to find this witch who's making monsters. Yeah, that hasn't really happened ever in the last 220 pages. There are a lot of like derailing of the plans, and a lot of other things that they're doing, which, I mean, I'm not mad about. Like, I'm still enjoying the book, but it's definitely very scatterbrained in the plot. Like, they keep getting distracted, and there keeps being little other plots, but none of those plots are really being fulfilled or contributing a whole lot to the story either. Like, I'm still enjoying it, but the plot is definitely a little weird. Alright, I gotta be honest with y'all, I am not fucking with this romance at all, because such a big part of this book, and something that I really enjoy, is the examination of kind of toxic relationships and toxic love interests, toxic exes, things like that, because Maggie is kind of going through this whole depressive episode really about her ex-lover, but wasn't even a lover, of this guy who left her, and they used to be partners, and he was like her mentor or something. And I, like, towards the very end, there's like this confrontation. It was like really heartbreaking, and it made me feel things, and I just feel like the romance is really taking away from that, and not only really taking away from it, because I feel like, I mean, obviously Maggie does deserve to have that like good, healthy, quote unquote relationship, but I just feel like the guy has always been just super pushy with her, and I don't feel like Maggie is like reciprocating the feelings with him, at least not in the way that I think is, you know, healthy and beneficial and just overall a great time. So, ooh, and like they're kissing right now and I just feel gross about it. I don't like it. So, she's not the wave for sure. This book said fuck men's rights. Honestly, I'm here for it, but also frustrated as hell about it. So I finished Trail of Lightning, and first thing I have to say, the pacing in this book, where is she? Who is she? Have no idea where she came from when she made an appearance. She never did. Plot also never decided to make an appearance in this book. I really enjoyed it. Definitely enjoyed the first half of the book way more than the second half, because the first half I was okay with like the meandering, because I was like, okay, well, I don't know, maybe she's gonna tie all this up in the next 100 pages. No, it didn't really happen. It just kept being a like side tangent after side tangent, and like it was such a weird way that she plotted this book, because at first in the beginning we're like, oh, we're gonna hunt this witch and we're gonna kill this witch who's making all these monsters. Cool, love that. And then we went to like this old abandoned library to get more information about the witch. Makes sense, we love to see it. And then there's like another plot where they go to this bar, and there's another plot where they get run into with like these cops basically and like some other people, and then there's another plot where they have to go back to the family friend's house because shit went down there, and then they go to like this weird club, and then they end up going in like this fighting ring, and it was all over the place, and it was not the best plotted book in my opinion, but I really liked the folklore elements to it. I loved Maggie. I really loved her character. She is a badass bitch, and she hates herself so much, which is just, it's so sad to read about, and I really loved her character. But the men in this book, none of them deserve rights. None of them deserve any rights at all, except for like the old family friend guy. He deserves some rights. Nobody else deserves any right. I hate them all, and they really just kind of ruined the book a little bit. Like, especially in the second half, it just really took away from Maggie's development and her story. And to an extent, it is good because it harms her so she can hopefully grow in the second book. I believe this is just a duology, maybe it's a trilogy. I'm actually not that sure. I get it. It may be the grand scheme of things, and so she can just grow more and she can get better as a character. But I just feel like they infringed upon her growth too much and inserted themselves too much in the plot that was messy to begin with, as we've established, that I couldn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to. I wish the romance was not in this book at all. I wish it was just Maggie. Give her like an animal companion that talks or something, but I just want her to be alone. Everybody else that inserted themselves into this book, especially like our side character and the ex and a couple other people, it was just, I don't know, I feel like it just dragged the story in a way that could have been better if they didn't exist. I think I'm gonna give it a 3.5. It was a really strong 4 for a majority of my reading process. Like, even at the very beginning, I was like, ooh, it's gonna be a 4.5. Like, I'm really liking this. The second half just did not do it for me. I was not a fan of how the author tied up everything and tied up this plot with the witch. It just was not a fan about it. Will I still continue with this? Who knows? I think I'll have to look up reviews of the second book to see how that goes. But the way this ends, I feel like my problems are going to still remain with the second book because there's just a lot of drama with the men. And I don't give a shit about the men. So, unless the second book ends with her being alone, I don't really know if I want to read the second book. This was a bit of a disappointing one because I was really excited for this. I was really enjoying it the first half, and then I just didn't know where we were going, and I didn't like where we ended up going to. Welcome to my bathroom. So Brody wanted to do like a selfie recreation type thing, and so I am going to be recreating this photo because obviously, and my bath does not look as nice as theirs does, but it's gonna be fine. We're gonna take the pictures. It's gonna look good. Y'all, the absolute drama in this book. Oh my gosh, like the political intrigue is to 100, but the plot and the actual interesting things are at about a 12. I am loving the political landscape. I am loving our main character. I am loving the discussions about power and privilege and colonization and all of these things. I just wish it was done a little bit more interesting because I am loving the drama in this. It's just really slow and I am very bored, but when I get to that point where like another aspect of the plot is unfolding, I'm like really exhilarated and very interested in it. So it sucks because it's really hard for me to stay interested and to keep reading, but once I do keep reading, I'm like, ooh, I am loving this. I just wish the journey was done a little quicker and a little better, if that makes sense. But I am 100 pages into this. I am really enjoying it. I would love to watch this TV show. Love to. I would be the first one to support it. I would binge watch all the episodes. But oh my god, in book form, is it so boring? It has the political drama. It has the political intrigue. It has the messiness. It has all of like the little machinations and all of those things. But it's done in such a, I don't even know if subtle way is the correct word to describe it, but it's kind of almost all off the page. It's interesting, but it's boring. I don't know if I'm making any freaking sense, and it's almost 1 a.m. I may be delirious at the moment, but it's just one of those books that is just so slow, and again, like the political machinations and all that is really interesting, and I like all the scheming and I like all that. Basically, I haven't even told what this book is about. So basically we're following our main character Signori, I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce her name, but she is born from this family who were descendant of a slave who got his freedom, who bought his freedom back. This is a Caribbean based fantasy, and it's basically taken place on these islands that was colonized by the Nordic people. And yeah, our main character is a descendant from a slave family who got his freedom and got partnership with one of the white families, and her family was murdered, but because she had kind of these connections, she was able to become one of the head of one of the houses, and so she has a lot of power, and she was invited to the, I guess, capital or like head house, if you could say, with the other leaders of the other islands, and while at this house she is plotting to get revenge on all of the other masters, as well as trying to avoid her potential murder. And so it's really interesting, and as I mentioned, there's a lot about like power and privilege and things like that, because Signori, I don't know how to pronounce her name, I'm sorry, she is black, she is a descendant of the islanders, she does have this power, she does have these magical abilities, but the islanders don't accept her because she still keeps her slaves and she still like kills slaves who rebel and things like that. But of course she's still black, so the white masters don't accept her. So it's really interesting in that aspect. I'm really enjoying the societal conversations and all of these things, loving the politics, loving all of it, but it's so boring because nothing is really happening and everything that happens is off page. I am liking it. I just wish it was done in a better way and like told in a better way. Brody, I am so sorry. It did not get better. Tell me why the ending for this book had me with the reaction that people with this book were having. I got to the end and I was like, wait, where are the rest of the pages? This was so boring, and I'm so sad to say it because I really liked the character work in this. I thought all of the characters were very complex and very interesting. I like that we learned about the characters through the kind of backstories and their memories, because our main character can read minds and she can like read the emotions and memories of people, and so that's how we learned more of the backstories about the different characters, and I thought that was really interesting and I liked how that was done. I really liked that, in fact. And again, I really like the complexities of like all of the characters in this, especially our main character. Loved all of the themes that it tackled. Cannot stress that enough. I thought it was extremely interesting. I just wish that the story itself was as interesting as the themes that it examined. It was just very all talk, no show. Everything very interesting happened off the page, and a part of me really likes the subtlety because I feel like it provided a more realistic depiction of like political machinations, but reading a book, it made it really boring. That's why I'm gonna stress it again. I would love to see this made into a TV show because I feel like that would be more successful. Not to compare it to a white fantasy dude's work, but I feel like this genuinely would make a very cool Game of Thrones-esque TV show, because Game of Thrones kind of has a similar thing about its like subtle political machinations, even though a lot of times it's not so subtle, but you guys know what I mean. I think it would have very similar vibes with way cooler characters, setting, and societal discussions to be had. I am going to sleep real good tonight because I finally finished this. I really wish I liked this more because I like what Case and Calendar was trying to do with this book. I just don't think it met the mark for me personally. And honestly, I don't think any of these books met the mark for me, and I feel so bad. I am so sorry, Brody. I did not expect to not enjoy really any of these. I mean, it's not like I hated any of them. None of them I really hated, so that's gotta be a plus. All of them I just have very lukewarm feelings about and will likely not be picking up anything else in their intended stories. But with that being said, I suppose I should rank them. I can't even remember what my original ranking is, but definitely at third place is going to be Wilder Girls, which I believe I put at third place in my original ranking. I still have absolutely zero thoughts and opinions about this book. I have no feelings whatsoever. I am completely and utterly neutral about this book. I have nothing negative nor positive to say about it. Second, Queen of the Conquered, because I do like what it did. It's just all about the execution. And then number 1, Trail of Lightning, because I did really enjoy Trail of Lightning until the second half. I have noticed that at least in these 3 books, I'm just gonna take a stab and say that Brody is not a plot-driven reader. Feel free to correct me in the comments if I am wrong, but at least in the books that I selected for your video, none of these are plot-driven. And I have realized recently, even before making this video, that I need a plot, because it is really hard for you to write good enough characters to make me forget that there's no plot in your story. Very rarely happens. So yeah, I need a plot. None of these books really had plots. I mean, I think Wilder Girls maybe had the most plot. No, I don't think so. At least I didn't hate any of them. It could have been worse. It could have been worse. That being said, this is the end of this video. I think I'm gonna title it like Aphrodite Swaps with blank. So if you guys really like this, maybe I'll do another one of these videos. I don't want it to be like Chandler's taste test, because I don't want to like copy her, but I think it could be interesting to do it more like I did this video, where it's more like swapping lives with that person. I think it could be cool, so let me know down below if you guys would be interested. Let me know if you guys have any booktubers that you would maybe like me to swap lives with. Would love to see it, would love to hear it. I'm gonna go to bed now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys subscribe to Brody, follow them on Twitter, follow them on all the socials, do the damn thing. They're great. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.